It's strange to say because it's CG and it doesn't outwardly look like the old classic Disney animation. But I felt in the spirit of the place, it very much was what I imagined old Disney to be. And from having all my first teachers be from that era, the kind of thinking that they encouraged me to have, the kind of creative process they talked about, was in full flower here, and was, you know, a company had been built around it. I saw Pixar in many ways as sort of a life raft for truly creative, you know, filmmaking.
The thing that we worry about at Pixar the most is to become complacent, to think that we know what we're doing. We always want to be growing, changing, becoming better. And so we asked Brad to just shake it up, just bring all of his ideas of how he believes films should be made and bring it into the studio.
Really good art happens when you're at the brink of failure. You know, Incredibles, we were looking over the yawning cliff of failure every day because our ambition was so big. We were doing a movie that really needed jeopardy, which is very difficult to do in animation. Most people categorize animation with, you know, a coyote falling off a cliff and he just dusts himself off and he's fine. You have to obey certain physical rules and show that there's a price to be paid. We had to show that things were genuinely heavy, but people were strong enough to pick them up. If you look at some old episodes of Star Trek, where they show them throwing boulders, but they're clearly made of styrofoam or something, because the way they're doing it, it's not the way a boulder is. So we had those animation problems. We were dealing with characters with special powers, but we had to obey physics enough to convince people that these people had special powers and weren't just another animated cartoon. So that sounds like there's not much difference between the two, but it means everything to the success of the film. One of my favorite moments, even though it's a little bit dark, it's where they're all in the van and they're landing in the city, and I felt the need to get on with it because I knew that I was too long. And John said, wait a minute, there's an opportunity here. And he goes, what if they argue about the exits? And I said, don't say another word. Don't say one more word. I said, I got it. Let me run with it.
Which exit do I take?
Traction Avenue.
That'll take me downtown. I take 7, don't I?
Don't take 7!
Great! We missed it!
You asked me how to get there, and I told you. Exit at Traction.
That'll take me downtown.
He's coming up. Get in the right lane.
We don't exit at Traction!
You're gonna miss it!
Is everybody okay back there?
Super duper, Dad! Let's do that again.
The films always start with an idea, and there's no rules to this. Sometimes it's an image, sometimes it's a concept. But usually we start by doing some drawings and writing. And so we put together a script. Then we move on to what we call storyboards and story reels, which are almost like a comic book version, a drawing of how the film is going to look. And we film all those drawings. We put temporary dialogue and music and sound effects, and we can sit in the theater and then watch the movie, having never shot any of it yet. And usually it's a lot more that's not working than is. In some cases, we redo a sequence, 40 times. It's kind of crazy. Once we find that a sequence is working, we'll start designing the characters. We'll find the actors, we'll start recording, and back in editorial, we cut all the dialogue together with these still images. We have the characters built now, we have the sets starting to be built, we set up the camera, and at this point, it's really like a real movie, like a live-action movie set. An animator gets a scene, They have the dialogue, they have the camera, and they have what looks like a stiff robot of the character standing there. And it's their job, based on the audio, to create a performance with the expressions, the gestures. If there's a special effect, say dust or an explosion or fire or anything like that, it goes to the effects department. The next step is lighting, and that is much like a real lighting setup. You have a key light here and a bounce light there, and it's just like lighting something for photography or for live action. Once all that is done, we render it, which assembles all the surface textures, the cloth, the movement that the animators have done, and puts it all together into a beautiful looking frame. Of course, there's 24 of those frames every second, and when it goes through the film projector, it looks like it's moving and it's alive, and of course it's all fake.
In the world of business, in the world of Hollywood, in the world, everybody wants to play it safe. Everybody wants the sure thing. And most people think the sure thing is what was really popular last year. Because people love that, they'll love this. Let's do the same thing. And we always believe, no, do something fresh and new that no one's ever seen before. It seems like filmmaking became so dialogue dependent that we were real excited with the challenge of, can we do this with a minimal of dialogue?
WALL-E's just simply about love. It's about the point of living and how love is really at the core of that. It was wonderful to make a movie that was just, for once, an unabashed love story. It wasn't a subplot, it wasn't a side element to something, it was the whole point of the movie. And in a weird way, I think it took this dystopian universe with a metal robotic character to allow us to be that overly romantic and melodramatic, and the audience weren't turned off by it. Ooh. There's a moment that happens in WALL-E, and he's finally met Eve. And she's discovered that this lighter, that the collection he's had, that one of them actually makes a flame, and he never knew that that's what these things did. And he's just staring at her, and you know exactly what's going on in his head and exactly what's going on in his heart if he has one. And you're so connected with him right at that moment. And it's that simple, almost Hollywood tradition of slowly pushing in on one character and then slowly pushing on the other. And to me, the look, the tone, the feel, it was not only everything I wanted that movie to be, and I felt we'd finally caught it in that, and here was sort of a light to guide us for how to make the rest of the film. But it's what I want out of any movie that I see. Maybe not literally a love moment, but that, to be that immersed, to be that transported and that, for lack of a better term, distracted. That's why I'm a junkie for movies.
By the time the movie came out, the whole consciousness of the world on global warming and all the environmental issues that we have to deal with in our world just was so prevalent in everyone's thinking.
Wait, that doesn't look like the Earth. Where's the blue sky? Where's the grass?
I remember one New York Times columnist said that WALL-E, the movie WALL-E, was more in tune with the audience's concerns about the environment than the presidential candidates were.
This is called farming. You kids are going to grow all kinds of plants. Vegetable plants, pizza plants. It's good to be home.